My journey with plants began when I started to walk, and my mom had me pick the tomatoes and the little cherry tomatoes out of her garden in the summer, and I enjoyed doing that so much, and I knew like innately like I loved having my hands in the soil, and so I would help her. She's a very good gardener and landscaper, and so she kind of taught me throughout my childhood, you know, this is how you properly break up some roots when you plant a plant and things like that. Around the same time that I was picking those tomatoes, I was just doing what came natural to me. As a child, that's just what I gravitated towards. You know, other kids were playing video games and, you know, sports. And while I did dabble in some sports, I always came to creating. I always went to my room and started creating. And it's just been part of who I am. 10 years ago, I was in a study abroad program in Cape Town, South Africa. And I journaled every day, several times a day. I wanted to capture that feeling of what these bright colors and textures and smells and people that I was experiencing, I wanted to somehow capture that in my journal. So I started to I didn't really have a lot of art supplies on me, and so I would go back to the guest house and I would just start tearing pieces of paper, like newspaper or whatever, and I started making these collages throughout my journals. And then when I got back to the States, I got into some pretty heavy work with human services and things like that. And I would come home and start like, hey, let me just screw around and start painting. And then I would just naturally one time just started incorporating the two. And so then over the years, over the last 10 years, my paintings have become so layered that there's paintings in there underneath them all that look totally different. But I kind of like it. It's like a little secret that only I know, like what was really underneath it. But I also think that, you know, working with human beings for a living in their most vulnerable moments in life, it's taught me that how multi-layered everyone is. There is not one person on this earth that doesn't have baggage and things, and not just baggage, but qualities and things that have experiences that have happened to them that make them who they are. And so that's kind of what I try to incorporate in my paintings too. With my love of plants that's always been in the peripheral, I've kind of now started to really incorporate my love of nature and plants and colors and textures around me, you know, into my everyday life. And so that's why I paint what I paint.